SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Boston Pizza Stouffville, thank you so much. What's going on? It's great. It is really great to be here tonight. Like, we're so excited. We've been so excited for this. This is a sold-out show in Stouffville, baby. That's right. Amazing. So it's all great. It's great that you guys are all here. Okay, so here's what I want to do first. Who thinks that they drove the furthest to get here tonight? Put up your hand.
At the very back.
If you say Markham, I'm going to be real upset. What was your name? What's your name at the very back? Yeah, you.
Scream like
the
you're
one
in
looking
a road
around like
rage
it's not
incident.
you.
What? Your sunglasses on your head. You got brown hair.
You had your
You're
hand up.
looking at the back right now.
You're the one at the
Yes, you.
No, you. Who keeps saying me?
Yes, you. Peterborough.
Peterborough.
Wow, that's a heck of a drive.
That's
all
not
right.
that far.
All right. Do you have one? What do we have here?
Mississauga.
Which I think Mississauga might be further, right?
Peterborough, yes, 100%.
It's a worse
yeah.
drive.
It's
definitely
painful.
an awful
All right,
drive.
that's good. That's good. What do we got here? Lindsay. That's true. Lindsay's not.
okay.
Lindsay's
And
not easy.
Natalie,
No.
where are you from? I don't know because you're at every show, so I'm like, oh, she's from Kingston. And also Vaughan and Bowmanville and now Stouffville.
Natalie, where are you from?
Campbellford.
Right.
I don't know where that is.
I know you've
Far.
told us that.
Okay.
2 hours. Wow. So listen, thank you for everybody who came from a ways away. I had somebody who said, I'm just on the Richmond Hill side of the border, so I get to pay their taxes. Oh. So I'm like, well, the Richmond Hill
That's
taxes.
really local humor.
Yeah, it is.
Good?
There was a lot of people shuttered there. I
You
was
need
like,
to
oh.
work on your tight five, Adam. I don't know about this one.
So
Great
listen.
to be here in Stouffville.
Couple of things I want to do before we get to the interview here. Did everybody see the Utah jersey that came out today?
No.
You didn't see it?
No.
Okay.
More like poo talk.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing, Jesse. I don't even really need to give you a picture of it.
Okay.
Because it's a jersey that is black.
Justin Fisher showing me
There it
right
is.
now.
And it says Utah on it.
Utah Hockey Club.
You could have stayed your ass in Arizona if that was going to be your jersey.
Yeah. Now,
I
here's
wish
the
they
thing.
went with more bold colors.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a pass on this because they got to get the jerseys in real quick, right? Because you got to get those printed over the course of the summer, right? You know that from having a book.
I do.
Yeah.
That's true.
So they don't have their logo ready to go, but I feel like it'll be like what the PWHL did. Next year, they'll have a full logo, full crest.
It would have been better if they didn't.
Okay,
just
why?
saying.
Why? What's the problem?
Because it's better to have a jersey with a logo. Like, everyone understands why the PWHL did it that way, because they kind of had to, but it's not ideal.
Right.
So when there's an NHL team with a way, way, way higher budget, mind you,
True.
you'd like them to get the job done. It's June, for goodness sake. It's June. You're telling me you can't get it done by October? Come on.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Ooh.
Jesse, what do you think?
So they didn't choose a mascot or a logo, right?
Not,
They
not
didn't
yet. That's
choose
not
a
been
name.
announced. I think at the draft that'll be announced.
It's just a guy walking around in the shape of Utah, like a rectangle or whatever it is, for the whole first season, and then they'll get a new one.
If they end up choosing like Yetis or what Blizzard or something like that, then I'm like, why didn't you just wait for that name to make your jersey? Why go ahead with the Utah Hockey Club jersey? But if they just go ahead with Utah Hockey Club for one season, then I'm like, okay. I don't like the colors. I wish they went with bolder colors.
Well, it's Tampa Bay, but with a little San Jose mixed in.
yeah, no, it's not
It's
great.
black. A lot of
It's
black
not
on the
great.
jersey.
Tampa
It's not
Bay, but
great.
like left in the sun.
Yeah,
Like,
not great.
Boo. I
Yeah.
don't like
Okay.
it.
So we're a little boo on the jersey. How are we on the Edmonton Oilers tonight? Are we? Yes. We got some jerseys here. How are we on the Florida Panthers tonight? Oh, okay. All right.
You know what? You're all right. I'm tired of pretending like the team that I want to win this series the most isn't an asteroid. You know what I mean? If you're a Leaf fan, you shouldn't want either of these teams to win, but whatever.
Right. Well,
I want the most entertaining hockey.
and you know, I got to say, Connor McDavid's pretty local, right?
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. Come on.
No, but he's local. He revoked it.
What do you mean he revoked it?
He revoked it.
He didn't choose to get drafted in it. You saw his face
You
when
know
he
what?
got
You're
drafted
right.
in Edmonton.
You're right. And I'd sign in Edmonton for 12 and a half.
100%.
Yeah.
Also, we all know McDavid's going to be a Leaf in 2026.
That's right.
Right? He's coming home, baby.
What, like Kawhi?
McDavid's coming to Toronto.
That's right. That's right. He come. Oh, we could work on that.
We'll
Remember the
work
He
on that
Stay
one,
thing?
Adam.
Yeah, anyway.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so here's the deal. We're here at the behest of the guy whose jersey is hanging up over here. His name is Keith Acton.
Yeah.
Keith Acton obviously played in the NHL and was with the Montreal Canadiens.
Boo.
Won a cup with the Edmonton Oilers. That would be Gretzky's last cup, by the way. And then went on to coach with the Toronto Maple Leafs for 10 straight years. So if you could please welcome Keith Acton to the stage. He's just at the side of the bar there. Keith, come on up.
Get up here.
Come on up, Keith.
No.
Keith. Here you are, sir.
How do you do?
Steve, Keith. Good to see you, buddy. All right, Simone, come on in and sit down. So I'm going to tell you, I want to start this off by, Keith is a very honest guy, and I just met him, and I'll tell you how I know. When we shook hands, he was very warm, very kind, and that sort of thing, but he said, I'll be honest with you. I'd never heard of you. I don't follow any of that. But I called my kids. And they said what?
They said that you guys are unbelievably recognized, outstanding, and the best podcast anywhere in the world.
Yeah. He's lying. Now he's lying. But Keith, you know, listen, we were excited to talk to you because there's so much history that you have with the game. And we're all here because we're hardcore fans. We're all here because we love this. And I want to know, first off, you're looking at the Stanley Cup Finals. Forget that it's the Edmonton Oilers in the finals, who I'm assuming you're cheering for. A little bit.
I'm cheering for the Oilers.
It's
yes.
cheering for the Oilers. Yeah, okay. All right. What is it like to, an hour before the game, start putting your equipment on, getting ready for warm-up for a Stanley Cup Final game?
Great question. I'll say this is, you talked about Wayne Gretzky before. And one thing that Wayne Gretzky, he always said, there's 4 segments to an NHL season. There's the exhibition games, then there's the regular season, then there's the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, and then there's the final element, which is the Stanley Cup Final. And as you exit each one of those segments and move on to the next, it becomes a situation where you have to be able to elevate your game to another level. And experience is a big part of that. I think if you talk to the Oilers back before they won their first cup and when they beat the Islanders in 83, 84.
83, 84, that's right.
And they lost to the Islanders the year before, and they gained a lot of experience. I think maybe what you're seeing a little bit right now is the fact that maybe the Panthers, we can talk about abilities, talent, whatever with the teams, but the Panthers were in the finals last year, and I think that's given them a little bit of an advantage at this point. If you look at Game 1, the Oilers were outstanding. They were playing very, very well. They should have probably won the game, but if you looked at the body language and looked in the eyes of the players, you saw that the Panthers, their body language in their eyes was that we're not going to lose, we're still going to win. Whereas the Oilers were maybe not believing so much and a little bit apprehensive because they hadn't been there before. So they got to do some quick and some fast learning here, and I think they will, and I think they'll win the game tonight.
There you go. Oh, all right.
There you go.
All right.
Can I ask about Paul Maurice, somebody you worked with extensively in Toronto? It's just, what's it like working with him?
Yeah, I mean, Paul's been a coach for a long time. It was kind of a dynamic or volatile time when he came in here in Toronto. I started with Pat Quinn in 2000. We had some great seasons. We had some great opportunities, I think, to maybe win a Stanley Cup. The best one probably was in 2002 when we lost to Carolina.
Everybody's nodding yes in the room. Everybody remembers.
Oh, yeah.
And I can remember Pat after we lost Game 6. at home, I believe it was, and Pat came in and he said, "We're going to look back at this as a big lost opportunity." But at that time, changes were happening in the National Hockey League, and the Leafs model up until that point was how they had success. There was no salary cap, so the Leafs had lots of money, so they would buy on July 1st, and that's how they accumulated a lot of talent. Maybe it was older, but it was good. And then before the trading deadline, they would sell assets like draft picks and prospects. And that's how they were a really good team, because they had, the money to spend, and that was a good model for the Maple Leafs, and it was effective. But then when the salary cap came in 2004, I believe, and the Leafs were spending like $70 million and had to cut it back to like,
It was 42 and a half.
yeah, okay, so significant
It's a big-
amount. So
big cut.
you had to take talented players off your team, and your cupboard was bare because you didn't have the prospects or draft picks. And so now it was a big change for the Maple Leafs, and it made it difficult. And that's when Paul came in, and we had, not as good a years because of, the structure had changed. But Paul's a very good coach, and he's a guy that a little bit different than Pat. Pat had a great presence. He was a big man. He didn't have to say a lot. You would just look at him, and you would just draw strength from him because of his presence. Paul was, a little more vocal, a little more active, and he's always been a good coach and good enough to always get another opportunity. And he's evolved over that time. He's been in small markets, he's been in big markets, he's been in Canadian markets, and he's coached in a lot of different situations. So now he's got an abundance of experience, and it's coming out now.
Was he always funny?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he
Good
was,
sense of humor?
He always had a great sense of humor. Pat Quinn had a great sense of humor, but you never saw it. Whereas Paul would display it, and he's become very, very good with the media. He understands that today, and it's more important for a head coach to be able to, function with the kind of media coverage that there is today. And he's able to do that, and probably he's really good at it now because of his time in Toronto, which is a very difficult place with regards to handling media. No offense to you guys.
None taken.
None taken.
So there's a photo of you drinking out of the Stanley Cup on top of your jersey in a building that you own, which is about the biggest flex you can have in this country. What is that moment like when the cup reaches the doors of the locker room?
Well, it was outstanding, as you can see, and I've never drank a glass of champagne ever after that night, for obvious reasons. And it was all killed by George Armstrong, because George Armstrong had a good friend here in Stouffville, and he was up here one night and he saw that picture, and he said, and he won many Stanley Cups, and he said, I would never drink out of the Stanley Cup because I've seen what's happened to that Stanley Cup.
That's good. That's
I
good.
didn't know it at the time.
So
at least.
no, so that just killed it. I think I got to take that picture down now.
Or just hang one of George next to it. Is that a Stanley Cup ring that you're wearing on your right hand?
Actually, you know what? I brought it out of the kitchen because you guys were right that I have it here at Boston Pizza, and we stamp every pizza with that Stanley Cup ring. And
I knew it.
And it goes. I don't know. This is a rumor about something that you guys spread, and it's true. I don't know how you found that out, but we stamped it with the cup, and it's certified best pizza in the world. It's a champion.
That's right.
Oh, so you do listen to the show.
So yes, it is, and I'm very proud to wear it. And it's a symbol of, it's you grow up dreaming of playing in the NHL, and you dream about being a Stanley Cup winner. And we've all played in backyard rinks, played on streets and whatever, and it was always for the Stanley Cup. But it's a symbol of I think back of all your teammates and all the sacrifices that they made in order for that to happen, and that's what you remember.
You know, Steve pointed out something on that last show that we had. I think it was yesterday. I'm getting all my days mixed up right now because the playoffs have been so crazy. But Steve made a point that Wayne Gretzky never won another cup without you.
He has zero
post Keith Acton cups.
Yeah.
So, you know, have you ever spoken to Wayne about that? Did he ever say, man, you should have been in that trade instead of Krushelnyski? Like, you know, what? How do we,
what did his game lack?
Yeah.
I don't think, I think it's pretty obvious. I don't need to make any comment on that. I mean, it's taken 36 years for somebody to figure it out. You guys are pretty smart guys. You finally figured it out.
That's all right. Keith, a lot of us here are Leaf fans, right? That's right. Woo! That's right. Long-suffering Leaf fans. And, you know, a lot of us became Leaf fans during the runs that you were a coach on. And you know, there's certain players that we got to ask you about. I hope you don't mind. I want to start with Curtis Joseph. I want to start with CuJo as a goalie, who really seems like, every time I've met him, seems like a really great guy. Not a good guy? Are you shaking your head no? Okay.
Incredible person.
Incredible person. What was he like to have, like when you knew you were going into a game with CuJo, you knew that the form was going to be all over the place, but you also probably felt like we probably got this because CuJo's behind us. What was it like to have him on the team?
Curtis was a tremendous person, tremendous athlete, as we know, and we beat Ottawa out, I think, four straight years in a row.
Hell yeah, we did. Hell yeah!
And, you know, arguably, people could say that maybe Ottawa's, you know, had a talent-wise, they might have had a better team. They had a good team for sure, but we always had better goaltending, and we all know how important and significant that is with Curtis and Eddie Belfour in those years. And you know, Curtis was he was a real workhorse, and our team sometimes during the regular season didn't have the same structure or discipline that we needed. But Curtis was a kind of guy that he excelled better if you had 40 shots against than if you had 20. And when he was getting the work and he was making the saves, and that's when he was at his best. So we didn't design it that way, but lots of nights it happened that way, and it worked for us. So, but no, he was a big part of our success. And you know, we had a lot of character guys. We had talented guys like Sundin and McGillney, and then we had noisy guys.
Ty Domi?
Yeah.
Darcy Tucker?
Yeah. Gary Roberts, Shane Corson. And they knew that emotion and noise was probably the catalyst that brought out their physical attributes. And then we had lots of guys. We had Thomas on defense, Caberlet, who was a very gifted player, but we had guys like Dmitry Yuskevich and Danny Markov, and these guys that were polluted, saturated with sacrifice, and that's what you need in order to win. But obviously Curtis was as big a part of that as a member of the team as anybody.
One of the big conversations around the current team is the pressure of playing in Toronto, and Steve got really upset when Sheldon Keefe left, and he called this the real NHL, or the other parts of the world the real NHL, and Steve yelled about that. But is the pressure in the media, is it different here as in comparison to the other spots in the league? Is that a true thing that the players got to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, some players really thrive in that environment. I know when I started in Montreal, it was probably a harder city media-wise than Toronto, because a Canadian market, but you had double the media because you had French and English.
I think it still is, by the way, a tougher market. I really do.
Yeah, so it's hard, and some players really thrive in that. You know, Guy Lafleur, we have his sweater hanging here at Boston Pizza, and great player, and he thrived in that situation. There's others that they don't, but I think the Maple Leafs, they've got talent. There's areas of the game that they have to improve. I talked earlier about the fact that you have to start to elevate your game as you go in these different segments of the season, and they've struggled with that a little bit, I would say, and hopefully they're learning. Craig Berube is a good friend of mine, and
What do you think of Craig?
I think Craig's going to do an exceptional job here. He's a straightforward guy, and he understands that.
Woo! There we go. People are pumped.
You know, he's not going to be gimmicky or, comical with media or anybody, but he'll be straightforward with the players, and he'll teach them what it takes to win. And he's got a firm understanding that over the course of the season, I think habitually with the Leafs, you'll see them win a lot of games on talent during the regular season, but they're not developing a structure or a method of playing that's going to be needed to be successful in the playoffs. And when you get to 15 games before the season ends, your team's got to be on complete autopilot. This is how you play. This is what we do in this situation. This is our structure. This is who my D partner is. And I think you're seeing a little bit of that unraveling a little bit with the Oilers right now, like who's playing tonight on defense, who's the D partner is going to be. They're shuffling lines, and the autopilot part of it is maybe not causing panic, but it's causing a little bit of uncertainty. And I think Craig will really understand that when I get to 15 games before the end of the season, my team has got to be in a place where they understand how we need to play in order to win in the playoffs, and we do that shift in, period in, game in and out, and that's what we'll take into the playoffs.
How do you feel about that? That sounds good, doesn't it? Just in case you wanted it.
Do you have any stories about the presence of Craig Berube? Like, I heard one recently where someone on the ice apologized to him, but this is when Craig Berube was already coaching. So, like, it wasn't even a matter of, he could hop over the boards and kick your ass the next shift. He was already a coach. So he's obviously a guy that commands a lot of respect.
No question. Craig, he probably, and I don't mean this as, I mean this as a compliment to him. He probably overachieved as a player in the sense that he wasn't the most talented guy, but he was very dedicated and committed. And this will come out in his coaching too. He understands that my discipline, my dedication, my desire, my commitment has to go beyond the boundaries of all my opponents. And that's how was his approach as a player. And that'll be his approach as a coach. And he will ingrain that into his players. And that's probably one of the things that the Leafs really need at this point. And I can tell you a funny story about him. He was my left winger when I was playing in Philadelphia. And when I started in Montreal, I was an offensive player, and I spent a whole year playing center between Steve Shutt and Guy Lafleur. I mean,
No big deal.
No.
Me too.
You really buried the lead, eh? Like, what have we been talking about everything else for?
I really liked that. They didn't like it much, but but anyways, later in my career, I became more of a defensive player and penalty killer, and I played on the fourth line. And sometimes you have to reinvent yourself to have longevity. And Craig was my left winger, and he was a fighter. We know he's had a lot of fights, and he a lot of nights he couldn't find a fight because no one wanted to fight him. So he couldn't get in a fight because there was nobody that was going to fight him. So he would come to the bench and he was screaming and yelling at me. And my nickname's Woody. Just screaming at me. You got to get me in an effing fight. You got to get me in an effing fight. I got to be in an effing fight. Get me in an effing fight. And I said, okay. I said, who do you want? He said, I want Neil Sheehy. I want Neil Sheehy. I said, okay. I'll set it up for you, but you better get there. So I started it, and Chief didn't make it.
How did that go for you?
It was sunglasses for a week, x-rays on orbital bones on both eyes the next morning. So I'm sitting in the penalty box. And here's Chief coming, and he's got my stick and my gloves. And he's going to give them to me. And I can't say here in a public forum what I said to him.
Sure. We can assume.
And of course, he's got no teeth, and he's looking at me, and he's laughing, and I'm like, where are you? And I said, sorry, Woody, linesman intercepted me, but I need to be in a fight next shift.
That's a great story.
You're on your own now, pal.
What a great story. That's awesome. Oh, man. Okay, so you mentioned Guy Lafleur. What was he like to play with? What was he like to pass to? Was it a little bit intimidating?
Yeah, I mean, Guy Lafleur was a tremendous player, but a tremendous person, and he took the pressure. It was not only, and I'll back this up. It wasn't just he needed to win. It wasn't for himself. For his teammates, it was important. It was for the organization. It was for the city. It was for the province. And he took it so serious, and it was so important to him. And in those days, on Hockey Night in Canada on a Saturday night, it was 8 o'clock. And I lived downtown, and I could walk to the Forum, and I walked to the Forum, and I was the first player there at 5:30. I was the first player except for one. The room was all done. It was beautiful. The sweaters were hanging, all set up perfect. And here was Guy Lafleur, and this was him every game. At 5:30, he was fully dressed, skates on, done up, and it was probably not the best thing that he was doing, but it was the way he handled the pressure, and he had to win. And all he did from 5:30 to 8 o'clock was drink Coke and smoke cigarettes. And I'm going to tell you a funny story about him when I was playing with him. There was one situation when we came off the ice, and, not that I was ever going to disagree with Guy Lafleur, but he started to tell me, he said, Woody, he said, you should have done this, you should have went there, you should have done this, you should have done that. And I said, respectfully, I said, yeah, I understand, Flower, but I thought. And he went, no. You didn't want to go to school, Carlos, so don't start thinking now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so you also played with two of the top scorers of all time, Wayne, Mark Messier. What were those two like? What was it like going to the arena with those guys?
Yeah, they were. Wayne was. They were both very, very intense in different ways. Wayne was very motivated. He was more methodical, thinking things out, where Mark was more straightforward, like
battering ram.
And they were both great leaders. And leadership is, as some people say that, people are born to be leaders, and I suppose that's true. But leadership's a learned skill too, and they both over time learned to be tremendous leaders. And it was like the Canadians, where they talk about passing the torch, and leadership was a learned skill. And they were both great in the sense they had an expectation out of you as a teammate that you were gonna. And Connor McDavid's doing it now, for sure, in the same way. They have a certain expectation that you're going to give maximum effort. You're going to sacrifice. Your skill set is going to be there every night. Your mind's going to be there every night. And with each of them, I'll create a situation, say that you had a 2-on-1 with them and you had the puck, and you made a pass where they could have maybe had a backdoor empty net goal or whatever, and it didn't materialize. They had the distinct ability to distinguish whether it was it didn't happen, but you were still given maximum effort, and they'd come to the bench and they'd say, hey, don't worry about it, we'll get the next one. But if you weren't given maximum effort and they sensed that, then they'd give you a kick in the butt and say, hey, you're better than that. You need to do better. Step it up. And that's unique leadership and understanding. And I think you're seeing that right now out of Connor McDavid. He's doing a tremendous job with the Oilers. I think, not to discredit anybody else on the Oilers, but when you look at supporting casts of previous, I know you guys are too young to know this, but if you look at we talked about Guy Lafleur and his supporting cast with Serge Savard, Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe on the blue line, and Ken Dryden in net, and Steve Shutt and Bob Gainey, and like 10 Hall of Famers. It's a pretty great supporting staff. He was a superstar. And if you want to look at Wayne in Edmonton, he had, you talked about Messier and
Yuri Curry and Paul Coffey
and Anderson and Craig Simpson and Efsetikin and great players in the year I was there with a couple. We had, a big, strong, solid defense that was really hard to play against. And Grant Fuhr in net. And if you look at the Penguins with Mario, I can't name them all, but he had Yager and he had
Ronnie Francis
and Tocchet and
Hatcher.
Yeah, and Barrasso and Ned. He had a tremendous supporting staff, and I don't think not to discredit anybody on the Oilers, but there's not the same level of ability, talent as a supporting cast for Connor as a lot of. You look at the Islanders when they had Trottier, Vossi, Gillies, second lines of Goring and Nystrom, Tonelli, Potvin on defense, Billy Smith in net. Like he could deep teams with, huge supporting staffs. And Connor's done, and he may be, if he wins the Stanley Cup, he may be the superstar captain that did it with the. And again, I'm not discredit anybody, but with the least of supporting staff to get it done.
That's a really interesting point. I don't think a lot of us have looked at it that way.
I was going to make a joke like, all they're missing is they simply need to be one of the best teams of all time, which is what you're comparing them to. But then I thought about it and I'm like, bad teams don't win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult. So you can have one of the best players ever, one of the best players of the generation, and still not even sniff the thing.
Absolutely. So the fact that they're here is great too. Listen, Keith. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But he's really. I just want to say one more thing about him is that and I think that Craig Berube is going to make the Maple Leafs understand this. Maybe they don't understand it, but Connor McDavid is a driving force for the Edmonton Oilers, and make no mistake, he's making everybody on that team better just because of desire, dedication, commitment. And for Connor McDavid, anything less than winning the Stanley Cup is unacceptable. And that's the mindset. And you can see that in him in every day, and it would be every day at practice, every day in the gym, every day on and on and on. And if the Edmonton Oilers don't win the Stanley Cup, Connor McDavid he'll be the one he'll be more disappointed than the fans, than his teammates, than the coaches, than the city, the organization. He'll be more disappointed than anybody. And he's a driving force, and that's something that I believe at this point the so-called stars of the Maple Leafs don't understand, and it's missing. And it needs to be that. No, it needs to be, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees.
It's just nice to hear somebody say it.
Again, it's a learned skill. I'm not saying it's not. And I think that Craig Berube will be maybe instrumental in bringing that out in these guys.
There you go.
Wow, well said.
Keith, this is an establishment that you own and take a lot of pride in, and I just want to say thank you for hosting us here tonight, and thank you for being so generous with your time and telling these great stories. It really is an honor.
Thank you, and I just want to thank you guys for coming. I didn't know. I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know a lot about you guys before tonight, but I'm going to be following you now, and you're tremendous young men that are, serving an interest for people, and I know you have a big following, and I'm going to start following you now. And I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thanks so much for coming to Boston Pizza
That's
Stouffville.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
So let me just say this. Round of applause again for Keith Acton.
Yep.
Woo! Those are some great stories. And that's, you know what, that's what's so fun about talking to people around the game is you're never going to read that in an article. You're never going to see that in a post-game interview. It's the stories 20 years later that are so special and so cool. And you get more of a sense in that snapshot of like Guy Lafleur or Craig Berube than you ever would in like some article.
I really like talking to players. Like sometimes I try not to get like too wrapped up in people who are really, really into the minuscule details of the game. Like I just want like banter, like just fan talk and everything. But I was actually talking to a former professional hockey player yesterday, and he said something that as a 36-year-old I can relate to because he's only a couple years.
Who? So they said name names.
Named absolutely not.
No. Boo. What team did he play for?
That's a reasonable boo, by the way. That's a good boo.
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Ex-Leaf? Leaf?
No.
Eastern or Western Conference?
Yes.
He's going to play 25 questions with you. You know you're going to reveal it.
Let's just narrow it down a little. Defenseman?
What decade?
What?
What decade?
Goalie?
Yes. No.
No. Okay, so we got forward.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. We're getting close. A center?
I don't know. Sometimes.
An orange team?
Man? So,
What was the story, though?
well, so like this is a guy who he had a really, really, really good professional hockey career, but like very little NHL, never really got
More hints.
close to the cup.
No cup,
And
okay.
he was working out with his trainer, went and saw his trainer for the first time after he retired. And the trainer asked him, okay, so you're no longer playing professional hockey. You're not playing to win a championship. What are we training for? Like, what do you want? And he thought about it for a second. He goes, when I get out of my car, I don't want to limp around for the first 10 minutes. And this is a guy, he's like in his early mid-30s, and he never got close to the thing. So it's really, really, really hard. Like, whenever we talk about guys, especially at this stage in the season, Stanley Cup Final, they're we keep throwing around stuff like, oh, they're 80%, they're 90%. No, they're not. No, they're not. Like, compared to their October selves, these guys are like 15%. Yeah. Like, they're busted. They're completely busted, but they're driven by adrenaline and they want to win the damn thing.
Yeah.
Leon apparently is dealing with something in his wrist or his hand, and that's why his shot's been a little ineffective this series.
7-8%.
Yeah.
And still one of the best players in the world, like just killing it.
He was in the Canucks series, scoring from that one spot, which seems like an impossible angle that he always scores from. Yeah. It's like with Leon Draisaitl, I feel like it's like, you know what? Everybody scores from all these other angles. I'm going to be difficult and score from this one. No one's going to see it coming. And it's like Ovechkin in the sense that everybody sees an Ovechkin shot coming. They've seen it for 20 years, and it still scores.
The difference is Draisaitl has to move. What a bum.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what? Ovechkin's far more efficient. Just stand there.
Not even stick in the air. Not even.
No.
And Leon's got my favorite stick in hockey. It's
Why is that?
Just the flat paddle. Oh. Like, I don't know how he does anything with it. Apparently he likes it flat because he likes playing on his backhand so much. But it's awesome to see what he does with that thing.
I love that. You know what? He probably doesn't even need tape for it.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
If Stuart Skinner ever leaves his stick in the corner or whatever.
Leon.
Yeah. Leon.
I like that.
It's the same thing.
So here's something we're going to do tonight that's really fun. You guys have been watching the Stanley Cup streams we've been doing, right? The side streams? Yeah. All right. So Steve's doing it live here tonight. This is Steve's very first stream in front of people. Okay? So we're making history here tonight, guys. This is going to be fun. Now, he is going to be over in this corner, but your energy tonight is actually really going to matter. I did it for the third round at the last Boston Pizza we were at. And I got to tell you, it's a whole different thing when you got people in the room who are excited, up, down, whatever. So make sure tonight that you make as much noise as possible. Make sure it's respectful noise. Okay, we want respectful words. Okay, but this guy, he's a really low energy guy, and he could really use your help amping it up a little bit. So you think you can do that for him? All right.
Woo! I think you saw during the whole Keith interview, I had a coffee. I always have a coffee before these events because I never know if I'm going to need it. And I got about halfway through that one and I went, oh no. Oh no, I didn't need it at all. So, yeah, I'm just here clenching the microphone.
Let's do. How much time do we have? We have some time?
I don't know.
We got some time, yep.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, we got time. Okay. So, Evander Kane is not playing tonight.
That was, I think that was a bit expected because at practice he wasn't available.
It's funny because Darnell was the guy I would have thought. Like Evander's been playing through
Kane's been hurt for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think his ineffectiveness has been because of the injury.
Sports hernia.
Yeah.
I
Weird.
mean, he got one shot in. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
If you watched a good one.
If you watched on the empty netter that Florida scored at the end of game number 2, Kane was at the blue line going to pinch for the puck there, and he couldn't get there in time. And I forget the Florida player who beat him to that puck, but you think like if Kane's healthy, he probably gets to that puck. They got 30 more seconds at the man advantage, and maybe the game turns out different, so that you can see the elements of the injury just in his game.
So this is the 11-7 night, maybe, possibly? I just asked Robert. We don't know yet. So
Maybe,
I
but
believe
like,
Cece's out and Broberg's in there. Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to... Corey Perry in for Evander Kane. Oilers going 11-7.
There you go.
Darnell Nurse banged up, so they're going to try to thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Robert. Shout out to Robert, everybody. Who we love.
how about a shout out to me for being right about 11-7? Let's go.
There's also somebody...
Eat it, Adam Wild. Boo.
There's also something... Yeah, fair. Bring it on. Come on. No, it's all right. Get it out. All right. There's also somebody else I want to shout out because it's Mad Dog's birthday today.
Hey! Happy birthday, Mad Dog!
That's our... So, Maddie, how old are you today? 24. And she decided to be here in Stouffville with us.
Yeah.
We even offered to give her the night off, but she was like, no, work comes first.
Just coming to the party town.
Yeah.
Stouffville.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now this is a good opportunity because we have a little bit of time. We'd love to do some questions if you guys have any. So if you have any questions, just throw your hand up. Oh, we got one right there. Yes, your name. Megan, what's going on?
Megan from where?
Megan from where?
From where?
That's right.
Megan from Mississauga.
That works.
So I wanted to know what you guys thought about Gritty being the #1 list.
What do we think of Gritty being...
Is he the number one?
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
That's okay.
He's the
Don't
number
worry.
one.
So BuzzFeed put out a list of 94 gay icons
Hold on. So Gritty's number one on BuzzFeed's list of 94 gay icons that straight people should know about.
Good for them.
I didn't.
Good for Gritty.
Hey man, shout out Gritty. All right. Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea.
I guess so.
That's
I didn't
great.
know.
That's cool.
I met them and they didn't say anything, but I suppose they don't have to.
That's right.
No.
That's
Gritty.
a weird
Gritty is
say
the.
upon introduction.
Yeah.
To be honest, Gritty is the best mascot in the sport, and I really wish that hockey mascots in general did more. Like Carlton, we love Carlton, but Carlton waves the flag and whatever, and
Does a backflip.
He does do the backflip now. That's right. Okay, because the Raptor was like, he was doing like cartwheels and crazy stuff and has been doing that for 25 years. But like hockey mascots have kind of been pushed to the side. And it was when Gritty was revealed, it was like instantly, this is the coolest mascot in the entire sport. And UP out in Montreal, who was the Expos mascot, is now the Canadiens guy. And I got to meet him once. And I took a picture and I told him I was a Leafs fan, and he smacked me on the back of the head.
Good.
As he should.
But he wasn't on the BuzzFeed list. So
No, he was
Yeah.
not on the BuzzFeed list. Go ahead here.
Okay, so the elephant in the room.
So, hold
Elephant
on.
in the room.
Name first.
Mitch Marner.
My name's Frank.
Frank? All right, we got Frank. What?
Is Marner staying or is he going?
Is
Oh.
Marner staying or going?
Question
Okay.
from Frank. Frank from where?
Frank
Frank
from
from
Markham.
Markham.
Is
10
Marner
minutes.
staying in Toronto? Is he staying? Jesse Blake. We'll go through everybody. We'll give it. What kind of rating out of 10? do you
I'd
want?
say he's 80% gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the Marner's not going to be around.
Oh, hold up. That's a
No,
that's a whole.
We
different
let's
question.
answer the first question.
We can spend an hour on that.
down the list. Steve, where are you at?
I'm gonna 80s high, but I'll go 70.
That's pretty high, too.
70% got, yeah, but anyone who's ever brought a 70 home to their parents rather than an 80 on a report card, there's a difference.
Hey, I was the 70.
So was I.
Adam.
That's what the 80 was always the surprise.
Adam, what's your percent?
I think, Jesse, you nailed it. I think it's 80%. And it's not because this player isn't great. And you know, it's
I hate that you have to say that a lot.
I have to say that. I have
Why?
to say that because there is
Players
a
never get traded.
right. Yeah, and
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
I think that there is a time when and this happens at workplaces, this happens with your favorite bands, things get stale. And I think it's a bit stale. And I think if you keep going the way that you're going with no consequences, you don't see anybody leave and you get to come back all the time. And oh, well, I guess we'll get them next year. I can't fly anymore. And also, there's a lot of executives, one at the very top who might lose his job if they don't get stuff done. So now there's a little bit of a fire under their butts to get it done.
So there's a segment that was going around today, which is why Mitch Marner was trending on June 13th or whatever.
Here we go.
I love this place. It was from Overdrive, and Darren Dreger was talking about, well, he doesn't have to move his no-move clause. And what if he just signs a big fat extension? And Brian Hayes was humoring him, and Noodles was humoring him, and Jeff O'Neill was the only one to go, nope! And just throw down the gauntlet and be like, they said they needed to make changes. How on earth does signing him to an extension give them any of that?
Right.
And well, then do you just walk him to free agency and lose him for nothing? And Jeff goes, yes, you do. And I guess here's my question that I was shouting at my phone while listening to the segment. Since when?
Reasonable.
Exactly. Since when has letting someone go in free agency for nothing been a problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs? There's a bunch of them competing for the Stanley Cup tonight.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm supposed to be, oh yeah, no, this one is where we draw the line. Stop it! No!
Yeah, just in the last decade alone. Hyman, Van Riemsdyk, Bozak, who else is on that list?
Hyman 3 or 4 times.
Gardner, like the whole bunch of them. Just Cody Ceci.
Cody Ceci.
That's a good point. Cody Ceci
Jack
did leave.
Campbell.
All right, next
Evan
question.
Rodriguez.
Sorry, you two in the front. Just at the back there, right in front of the Pikachu hats. Yes, sir. Of you. How do you cope with your he's wearing a Mitch Marner jersey. How do I cope?
I'm sorry.
How do I cope with my favorite player becoming the villain? And I think here's the deal. He's not the villain. He's not the villain.
Who is, Adam?
Take it.
No, you take it.
I think the team that allowed this to go on this long.
Oh, stop.
I think that the management group that didn't make the calls, the right calls when they needed to. It takes,
Would you get the script in a DM or what?
I think I would look at 2023, and this is your point. I'm taking your point from you.
Right. Sorry, I'm flustered from yesterday. I'm used to fighting.
Let's
never fight again.
Until next week.
Yeah, I love you, babe.
It's interesting because Dubas sat in front of the microphone at the end of 2023 after the Florida series and said, "We got to make changes," and then he was gone. And that was before the no trade clauses for Marner and Nylander kicked in.
Technically,
right?
he was right.
He was, yeah.
You got to make changes.
He didn't realize he was the change.
I got to call a moving company. Yes.
And so I think to say that Mitch or any player in this situation, Mitch Marner has been an exemplary citizen. He has donated to charity, in fact, created a charity. He has showed up at, from what I've heard, every single event, public or not public, and been there with the kids and done everything that you would want a Toronto Maple Leaf to do. He is an exemplary citizen. This is not the enemy. The enemy is the person making the decision. And you have to hold management's feet to the fire because unfortunately, Mitch is going to go because of performance issues, but the management group will still be here. The people that are making the calls will still be here. And it's your, listen, you can boo. Yeah, boo it up. Yeah, I get it. It's your pressure and your
Some
boos.
great faces in the audience right now.
It's your pressure and your boos They're going to push them in the direction of, oh, we actually might have to succeed for this audience. Toronto fans are kind of getting a little upset here, a little fed up. And so I feel bad for Mitch in that way because, listen, did he push it on the last contract? Absolutely. Does he have some people around him where you go, I don't love the way his agent negotiates through the media, as you mentioned earlier in the interview that you listened to.
Yep.
I don't like that. I don't. But the agent's doing his job. Mitch is his own man. He hires these people. Not the enemy, though. That's what I would say. That's my view.
Have you considered, damn, that's crazy? And they've lost 7 out of 8 playoff series.
Yes.
Damn, that's crazy. He's got, 5 points in 16 game 5, 6, or 7 since 2019. That's probable cause or whatever. That's grounds for termination.
Okay, fair enough.
Grounds for trade to Vegas.
I think we should get to more questions.
It's getting a little dark in here.
Yeah, next one. Where is Mitch going? No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Yeah, Matt.
What do we think of St. Louis matching their GM for 2 years from now, and now it's Steve?
Yeah,
I like that.
So he asks, what do we think of Alex Steen being the GM in 2 years in St. Louis?
I kind of like it.
It's a little odd.
It's odd.
Because pro sports is so fluid. Like, what if the team goes in the tank for the next 2 years and all the players stop performing well and you no longer want Alex Steen as your GM? Is there, like, a pull-to-shoot clause? Like, are they allowed to do that?
Armstrong gets drunk, calls the owner, goes, you know what I really think of you? Those plans can always change, right?
Can they?
I don't think Doug Armstrong would do that. I'm just throwing that out.
Can they change,
I think they can. I
Okay.
absolutely think they. I think it's nice to say, here's who we're mentoring. It's a St. Louis Blue great who should have been a Leaf great.
Leaf great, yeah.
And and I think Keith actually would have coached him. Did you coach Al? Yeah, you did,
Yeah.
didn't you? Good player, good guy.
Good guy, yeah.
Good guy. See,
Yeah.
Getting
What'd you
thumbs
think
up.
of the trade?
What did you think of the Lee Stempniak era, Keith? No, I'm kidding. I won't do that to you. Bad trade. And so, yeah, I think plans can change.
Plans can change. I hope plans can change if they can change. But, like, I think it's good that they have plans. That's cool.
Yeah,
Usually don't
absolutely.
get that from an organization being so open.
Imagine being planned. Wait, couldn't be me.
No.
So, hey, remember that time I was stupid and I made a video about in the fall there's going to be a 3-on-3 league? I didn't like how hard you laughed at that. So anyway, I was told a number of things. Most of them I put in the video. There were some facts that I didn't, that I was like, oh, these will come out later. One of the things I was told is Alex Steen was supposed to be the coach of one of the teams. Oh. I'm starting to think I was lied to, guys. Starting to think...
No, maybe Alex Steen did a power play on the St. Louis Blues management. It was like, guys, listen, if you don't do that,
I got MLS in my back pocket.
I'm going to Steve Dangle's league. All right? You better hire me as the GM. And so they did.
Yeah, they ran out of money. They spent it all on me.
That's right. Hey, guys, listen, we have to let Steve get to the stream because apparently it's 8 o'clock and Robert's like, hello. So I want you guys to have a great night tonight. We are gonna pull the Blue Bombers game off TV. I'm really sorry. I know you guys are really upset by that. Blue Bombers Ottawa. I know it's a huge matchup tonight. But we're gonna go to the Edmonton Oilers game. We're gonna see Edmonton win. I want to know if anybody's cheering for Florida.
Yeah,
Is anybody
Florida
cheering
win?
for Florida?
Oh, we got somebody back there.
We got the one guy.
Hey.
I don't know what your name is, but tonight it's Florida Man.
Don't Google him.
Don't Google him, yeah. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Want to bet? Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection confirmed.